And because these are controversial topics, you can have strong opinions. We just hold it until the end of the speeches, and then we will certainly open up to discussion.
No booing or hissing during the speech?
Pardon?
No booing or
No
hissing during the
booing, no
speech?
hissing, no interrupting during the speech. And if you have questions, jot them down. You can jot them on the back of your evaluation form. But hang on to it until the end of the speech.
The name of my speech is Democracy as We Know It is Bankrupt. Only through socialism can true utopia be achieved. Now, democracy as we know it. If we just turn on the TV set at night or read the papers, or just think about the most recent election we just had, what is the overriding feeling we get? That the population in general is pissed. And why are they pissed? Is because the system as we know it, or as we thought we knew it, has totally failed us. Over and over again. I hear it in this room, I hear it on the hallway, I hear it on the street, I hear it to all the people we meet who are just really upset about the way things are going in this country. And the concept I'm going to try to present tonight is that one of the reasons is that our beloved democracy, the system that we grew up with, that we love and cherish, which we are programmed to believe was the ultimate system, has failed us. A couple concepts I'd like to get out of the way first. Utopia, as we can see, is an ideal community or society, which was popularized as a concept back in 1516, which is before the Renaissance. It was based on the concept of early democracy in the Greek culture, in Greek and Roman times. Socialism is the means where a well-ordered society, those are the key words there I want to stress, because that's going to be the theme throughout most of my speech, is that a well-ordered society cannot exist without a state apparatus serving the needs of all. The basic premise being that we don't have an organized society, if people are left just to go ahead, be people, totally express themselves, that ain't going to happen. It's not going to work. It's going to fail. And democracy, of course, is the system that we're very familiar with. It turns out that the fathers of our Constitution were great historians, and they based our system essentially on the Greek model. Now, of course, the Greek model has been compared to New England, actually, in the sense that it was a loose collection of small little individual units. It wasn't on such a large scale as what we have here in the States, but that was the basic concept. Plato was the granddaddy of it all. He is, I'm sure there's many before him, but he's the first documented written author that we have that talks about the idea of democratic society, a utopia. And the quote here I found really interesting is because if you think about today, an age which had abandoned its traditional moral code but found it impossibly difficult to create a new one. Does that sound familiar? Because today, here we are, what, 2,400 years later? At the same time that laws and morality were deteriorating at an alarming rate. So, over the course of over 2,000 years, we've had societies, we've had all kinds of culture, we've had organized belief systems, and yet, here we are referring back to over 2,000 years ago, where Plato was recognizing the same problems he had in his society then, in his democratic institutions that he had then, that we have now. Then there was Thomas More, who came along and more or less he put an embellishment on it, and he really reinforced the idea that it is society's role to look after the individual, that people are born and they're programmed through the conditions they find themselves in. And then if society goes up to the task, then a lot of these problems won't exist. For example, he says that misery, poverty, unhappiness, and crime are not inevitable. They are subject to improvement and cure. And then the key here, such matters are the proper concern and imperative obligation of society. So here we have a situation where he's saying, look, we can have an ideal society. We can have utopia. But it can't happen unless we have a well-organized society which may transcend democracy as we know it. And then we have our beloved friend, Karl Marx, the father of communism as we know it. You've got to remember that Marx came out of a period which had just seen a lot of industrialization, the 1800s. And there were utopian socialists at the time who felt that it was the beginning of a new age, because through industrialization, the invention of the machine was supposed to free people up from everyday, boring, repetitive tasks, to give them more free time, to have a richer, more fulfilled society. That was part of the vision. Marx took it into a political realm because he saw it as a class struggle. He said you got the haves and the have-nots. Here we are again today. We have the haves and the have-nots. We got the bankers and the regular people. The people in power, the general population. So here again, a lot of the things that were said back then, you can look at today's world and say, yeah, sounds familiar. It looks like the same deal. The thing with Marx is that he got really into his class struggle thing, and he felt that it had to be done even through violence if necessary. And we saw, as an example, throughout the last century, of all these governments who got formed on socialistic principles, sometimes with the very best of intentions, sometimes with the Western educated people leading them, becoming totally corrupt. Look at the history of Europe. So look around the world. Find one succeeding, successful communist country, with the exception being China today. China, of course, has modified its mandate and increased democracy to a certain extent. So, have things really changed over the last, take it back as far as you want to go back? Look at some of the images. Look at the one up on the upper right. Here we have a starving baker, totally famine-struck, begging on the street behind a rich banker carrying a bag of cash. That is today's world. Look at the one on the left, Hugo Chavez. The people will rise. Look at the lower left, the Roman Empire. And look at the right. People in power, what do? They lie, they cheat, and they steal. And what are the primary gods for all these people? Wealth, power, and territory. All motivated by greed. So what I'm saying here is that our current political system is not capable of rising to the highest good. If we hold a vision of utopia as being the highest good, everyone across the board, yes, it's utopia. Can we ever achieve it with our current systems? Can we achieve it through democracy? I don't think so, because we've seen over and over again how people in power get corrupted. And they may go there with the intention of representing the people. They may go there with the intention of, this is going to be for the highest good, for the best of all. What does reality show us? So what are we going to have for our utopia of tomorrow? Well, we going to have a technologically advanced society where technology is just going to go forward and solve all our problems? It didn't do it in the last century. The creation of the machine and mechanization didn't solve people's problems. In this current technological situation we have now, is our technology going to solve all our problems? It may give us a better standard of living, but is it going to change the basic human dynamic of people being selfish, greedy, lack of caring for their neighbor, not looking for the highest good? We can go back to embracing nature. We can go into imagination and fantasy, where we can blend them all together and create a new future. But are we still going to be able to rise above the basic human condition? And I think the answer is no, unless we have a society that is structured to encourage the development of people as human beings. I think it's the role of society. For those who say, well, let's roll everything back, let's minimize government, let's let the free market take it all our ills, yeah, it'll all work, it'll work before, it'll work again. They're missing the boat. They're missing the boat completely. Because society has a role to advance the general condition of people and to advance people individually. And as a final thought, the day may come when that will be our passport. I look forward to that day. I'm a citizen of the world, and my country is humanity. And that concludes my speech. Once again, I forgot to look at my cards.
What do people think?
Pretty cool, pretty idealistic.
Mm-hmm. How do you even begin to change? I mean, and you're right, if you trace society in the United States over the last 2,000 years,